What blew me out of the water and what I think consumers don't understand is that you can't build a project and then get LDI. You actually have to get LDI right at the beginning of the project, because part of the process is they send a technical inspection team out on a monthly or quarterly basis to come and assess how is the project being built. Is it according to the plans? Is it according to the specs?
So I'm here with Mark Birnberg from White Projects. Great to see you, mate.
Hello, Mike. Nice to see you again.
So Resilience Insurance, you guys want to be one of the early adopters of this. I know you guys are really focused on embracing new technology and integrating new products into your strategy. Do you just want to tell us a bit about how you came to discover Resilience Insurance and why it's on so many of your projects now?
Yeah, absolutely. We first encountered Resilience when we took over the project with Princeton in Rockdale. Beautiful building. And we actually took it over from an incumbent agency that had launched the building, had made no sales. And they brought us in to try and supercharge the campaign. And at first we struggled. And then we were looking at this LDI. We got the team in, we got a bit more training and understanding. And once we understood it, and once we understood the power of it, it completely turned the sales velocity on its head at this project, where we were struggling to make sales and suddenly sales coming in through the door. And I solely put that down to LDI and to, I think, the consumer's understanding of just how powerful LDI is and just what it means when buying an off-the-plan apartment.
Right now, it feels like with AI and all sorts of different new products that are coming to market, there's never been more change happening. But when we look at the analytics in terms of how people use urban, one of the things that's been jumping off the charts for us is when, like you described, when LDI is present on a project, we see higher conversion rates, more engagement. It's kind of just really strengthens the overall value proposition of that project, not only compared to other projects in the area, but also relative to established, which is often an alternative option people are considering. How do you find, what are consumers saying when they're coming into the display?
So the truth is, I think right now in the market, we're still in the process of educating consumers and being more proactive in how we address it. But really what blew me out of the water and what I think consumers don't understand is that you can't build a project and then get LDI. You actually have to get LDI right at the beginning of the project, because part of the process is they send a technical inspection team out on a monthly or quarterly basis to come and assess how is the project being built. Is it according to the plans? Is it according to the specs? So it's, in a quasi term, it's almost like having a mini building commissioner coming on site every month and going, what, this is being built right. And that's how they're able to offer it as an insurance of first resort, which means in the event something might go wrong, they'll pay first, then they'll ask questions. And for consumers who are weary of off the plan, that's just a natural fact. They've heard the horror stories. The national media love to make a real big deal when a building goes wrong. They don't say anything when a building's right. And so there's horror stories in the press and people are nervous about off the plan. And I think the other issue we've got right now, particularly in New South Wales, and I can only talk to New South Wales, is the gap between established stock and new stock is so high.
Yeah.
Because, obviously construction costs have gone up. You'd be talking to developers all the time. And so you have to have some sort of leverage to be able to say, look, why shouldn't you take this 2-bedroom apartment at $1 million rather than this at 1.1 or 1.15? And that's where LDI comes into play, because it's a decade of peace of mind.
And what are some of the questions that people ask you about? And have you found that people are more aware of LDI than perhaps in the early days when you guys were one of the first adopters?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely getting more exposure now. We're seeing slowly but surely more buildings coming on. I truly, and I'm not going to say we, I'm going to say I truly believe it's going to be the de facto for what needs to happen in off the plan. I think in the future, if we jumped in our DeLorean and went off, I think that we're going to see a situation where it's going to almost be a building has to have LDI. It's a no-brainer. It's the way we try and describe it to people. It's like, imagine you were cooking in the kitchen, Mike, and I'm bringing my wife for a dinner and she's got a very delicate stomach. Imagine I was able to come into the kitchen, see the produce, see the best before dates, see that you've washed your hands, dipping your fingers in and licking. And so I can watch the whole meal being prepared so that when it's given to my wife, I can say, with great certainty, that's a healthy meal, go for it. And if something goes wrong, I know that it's got nothing to do with the chef. I think that's the way we're explaining it to people, that it's like all that uncertainty and all that risk is gone.
I agree. And I think there are things out there that are kind of serve almost like a proxy to risk. But I think at the end of the day, the consumer wants to know if the shit does hit the fan, what's going to happen and who's going to basically be there to make sure it's covered. And I think, as you said, with the technical inspection services going all the way through, if I was a buyer, I would really want to know that there's that kind of third party. And so I think it's just a kind of, it's not having the perception of being good. It's actually like it being good.
100%. And I think what LDI has done for us, it negates to a certain extent price, because you can sell it on the basis of, look, there's an inherent premium in here because we can tell you now, you're not going to have to think about anything for 10 years. There has to be some sort of premium as opposed to a project that just is completed and you don't really know until, and it's one of those things that you don't want to know. You land up in a building with structural defects, it's too late.
Yeah.
Whereas I think LDI is so proactive in assuring buyers out there. We think it's stronger than even the iCert rating. And that's another great product that has been made available to give people more comfort. And that's really what it is. Because if you're selling off the plan, you're selling an illusion. You're selling a dream. You're selling a vision. Most of the time, it's not ready yet. Most of the time, you might be taking them through a limited display suite where they can only see X or Y. So really, it's the illusion. It's the dream you're selling. And now you're able to sell a dream with no strings attached, with peace of mind for the next 10 years.
And one of the things I've found interesting with it is that when I first heard about the product, I think it was actually Patrick Elias from Urban Property Group told me about it for their project in Macquarie Park, because we could see it in the data. We could see how people were behaving differently related to it. And I asked him about it. And one of the things I mentioned to him was I was surprised that Urban Property Group is like a very well-known developer, strong existing brand, kind of like Daycorp in that sense. And it's actually the bigger, more well-known kind of trusted developer brands that seem to be the first that are kind of jumping on board, as opposed to the part of the market that I thought would be the early adopters, which are perhaps the low ones that are not as well-known.
That's fair. That's fair. I think if we look at the projects that have got LDI currently for us, it's Princeton, and they've done a lot of stuff. They're doing stuff in Bondi, Balmain, all over the place. Scion, which is the sons of Ventus, so they're obviously very strong, and it's been an incredible seller for us in Lane Cove. And then even Capio getting in now where they're starting to. And so, yeah, we've been surprised that it's actually been driven and led by some of the bigger developers. And I think that is kind of making, I wouldn't say the smaller developers, but let's say below that top tier also coming into the market and going, well, if this is going to help sales, why wouldn't we do this?
Yeah, totally.
It protects us, it protects the building, protects the consumer, and it helps sales velocity.
And the time value of money, obviously, people need to raise debt usually in order to fund construction. And so if you can sell the project faster, it's just a more profitable project.
100%. It has without doubt been one of the most effective sales tools that we have encountered, even more so than some of the first-time buyer assistance schemes and stamp duty exemption schemes, which brings a certain buyer in, but that peace of mind. And people are saying, I'll pay an extra $50,000, I'll pay an extra $100,000, and that's it. It's set and forget from there.
Yeah, as you know, the average time that people hold on to a property in Australia is around 7 years.
Yeah.
And so knowing that most people that buy the apartment are probably going to sell it prior to the 10-year defect warranty becoming exhausted. But so having the ability to sell a product into the resale market with that feature, with the warranty, is kind of akin to buying a car,
100%.
A new car that kind of has a warranty with it. And so I think not only is it's good for the developer and good for the confidence for the consumer, but I think we're also going to see it have a real incremental lift in resale value as well.
Agreed. We actually had a purchaser in Lane Cove who bought it, and he bought the apartment for an investment purposes, and his goal is he's selling this in 5 years. And he is super excited that he's basically got another 5 years of warranty there, which is what he's saying. He thinks it will actually help in the resale value. So I'm fully on board with what you're thinking there.
Well, Mark, it's always great to see you, my friend. And congratulations on all the projects you guys have been securing lately in the sell-through. So keep up the awesome work, man.
Pleasure, Mike. We're massive believers in urban, so hopefully this partnership continues long on.